Hey, what's up, podcast? It's Jeff, and before we jump into this awesome episode of Teach Better Talk, I wanted to give you a little preview of a couple of the sessions that are coming to the Teach Better Conference this November 8th and 9th. If you're not already registered, you can go over to teachbetterconference.com, see all the amazing speakers and presentations that we have coming, and also get your registration. Make sure you use discount code Podcast Talk to save $50. Here are just two of the sessions that you will be able to come see as told by the presenters bringing them to the Teach Better Conference. I hope to see you in November.
Hi, I'm Kristen Nan, third grade teacher from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm looking forward to bringing you a session called Creating a Culture for Learning. This is beyond a lesson plan. This is a lifestyle. This is about building relationships, owning our part as educators, and then nurturing student voice. If you're not registered yet, all you have to do is go to teachbetterconference.com. See you there.
Hey everyone, I am Becky Schnexer. I am a pre-kindergarten through grade 5 science teacher in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I am so excited to meet all of you at the Teach Better Conference. My session is all about re-energizing science by bringing authenticity, field, and expedition experiences to the classroom. So let's think differently about science education through the lens of exploration and by being explorers. What does that look like? Well, let's find out together at the Teach Better Conference. I want to see you there. So what are you waiting for? I need you to go to teachbetterconference.com and register.
You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 113 of Teach Better Talk. I'm Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with, how do I describe this crazy man? Well, I am with Jeff Gargis, but I just want all of our listeners to know that I got to see him this weekend, and he picked me up at the airport at 1 a.m., so I'm going to say that he's extremely generous today.
And there was a Instagram, or no, was it Instagram or Twitter poll?
There was both, actually. About
whether or not I would actually show to pick you up after your flights were delayed and you were rerouted through Dallas for some reason and back up and stuff. And, I think the majority of the people voted that I would.
Yeah, 56%.
But there was like a 30% amount of the people that voted that said, "Who's Jeff? Ray's awesome."
That's true.
Just saying.
There was a lot of options. Either yes, of course he'll pick you up, or no, I don't think so. And then the third option was my favorite, which was, "Who's Jeff? We think Ray's cool." And I did love that 56% picked, "Yeah, of course he'll pick you up." But the 30% said, "I don't know who Jeff is, but Ray's awesome." And that's always a perk in my mind.
Yeah, it is what it is. So one thing we were just talking about this episode that we just recorded, and we really don't want to do a whole lot right now because this episode was a little bit longer, but we let it go because it was. I really think this is just some incredibly valuable content within this episode, and so I didn't want to cut anything. I wanted to talk through all of it with Angela and just let her go, and it was so worth it in my opinion.
Yeah, Angela is amazing. We actually first connected with her when we were at Summer Spark in June, and she did an amazing keynote. She's done a ton in her career, and I've been following her for a while, but sitting in the audience of her keynote was just so impactful. I loved being able to connect with her then. And then, of course, finally getting her on the podcast was amazing. But before we get into that, do you want to give a little shout out, Jeff?
Yeah, so I really do. Speaking of a conference, I just want to give a just straight shout out to our good friends at IDEA in Illinois, the Illinois Digital Educators Alliance. They've been great supporters of the podcast, been really supporting us, and we've been doing some work with them. And we just really love them. They're just doing phenomenal things. And they've invited you and me out for their awesome IdeaCon, which is in February of 2020. You can go to ideaillinois.org to get all the info. But I just want to give them a shout out, one, because they're awesome, two, because we're really excited about going to the conference. We're both speaking a few times, and we're also going to have the book out there. They let us up at a little table and do some signing and have some fun there with all their books that they got coming, which are super awesome. And it's a really cool one for us because this was actually the first conference that you ever went to. It used to be ICE, and now it's IDEA. And so I just want to give a shout out because I think it's super cool that we get to go back again now that you've been going ever since you since you started being a teacher.
Well, yeah. And I mean, Angela, our guest, is somebody who we met at a conference. And I think
Yes.
that IDEA allows us to kind of do that same thing. We always meet
Yes.
incredible people at conferences. So if you're listening to this, go to the conference and then you should message us like, let's all get dinner. Let's network. That's what conferences are
Yeah.
about. So we are going to need like dinner buddies and hangout buddies. We want to get to know you. So just like we did with Angela this summer, I mean, the conferences are all about networking. So if you can come and go grab dinner, it'll be so much fun. So I hope that you guys join us at the event and just kind of have that whole experience of what conferences are all about.
Yeah. So speaking of Angela, we're trying to get in this. It's actually really hard to get into it fast because if I were to like go through everything she's done and tell you all about Angela Maiers, it would take forever. So I'm just gonna give you some of the highlights. So how about this? Flat out, probably one of the most influential thought leaders in education, in my opinion, right now. And a lot of other people agree with that, like Forbes and HuffPost. She's been listed as one of the top edupreneurs to watch. I think top 5. She's been listed as one of the top 20 global influencers, one of the top 100 women in technology, top 20 educational thought leaders. I mean, just goes on and on and on. She's authored 9 different books. She has been featured on TED Talks, and she writes for Huffington Post. She's written things for Forbes. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. She's just phenomenal. And the best part about it is that she's so down to earth. It's ridiculous. She's so much fun to talk to. Super excited. This episode is just packed with so much for you to take away. I was writing down quote after quote after quote after quote, thought after thought. She just touches on so many things. I'm so glad that we were able to have her on. I'm super excited for you all to listen to it. Ray, any specific thing or just go?
Just go. She's awesome. Amazing value. You're probably going to have to listen twice, so get your mind ready.
All right, here's episode 113 with Angela Maiers.
Hey everyone, it's Ray. We're going to get right back to the episode, but we have to talk about Mastery Chat real quick. I never thought a Twitter chat could be more intense, but holy cow, do I love Mastery Chat nights. Really rich discussion, educators from across the world, and I always leave with a new idea that I'm ready to use in my classroom Friday morning. Don't forget to mark your calendars for Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern, and we will see you over on Twitter. Now let's get back to the episode.
All right, we're here and we're talking with Angela Maiers. And Angela, we're already having a blast laughing with you before we even hit record. So I'm super excited, even more so excited about this episode. Really excited to have you on. Ray and I got to see you deliver a keynote back in June, and I think we reached out and tried to get you booked soon after that. And we're super excited that it's here. The day is here. We're ready to really dive into your brain a little bit. But before we get going, I just need to ask you, how are you feeling right now?
I feel great. I'm smiling. I wish you could see me. I'm just smiling. This makes me so happy. Being around other passionate educators is our best medicine. Like, it's the end of the day. It was a long day. And like, I feel like I could run a marathon. This is such a get to do. It is such a get to do. So I could not be more excited.
Angela, we're going to have so much fun. And I have been waiting since June to have you on this podcast.
Good.
So this is a huge deal for all of our listeners. But I want to start by our listeners kind of learning about you because I don't know how they wouldn't know about you, but I'm sure they don't know all of the things. So would you mind kind of sharing with us how you describe yourself and kind of the avenues that you're involved in with education?
Yeah, absolutely. So when this is honest to God truth, when people ask me what I do, I say I change lives and I change the world. And they are taken back by that. And I look at them and say, and they're like, no, seriously, what do you do? I'm like, no, seriously, that is what I do. And that is how we should view what we do collectively. That is what a teacher does. We do not deliver content. We were not born to deliver content. That's just how we do it. But what we do every day is we literally, with our presence, our passion, our purpose, we change lives. And by doing that, we change the world. So that has looked a lot of different ways. It started by being in the classroom with amazing 5-year-olds who taught me everything that I needed to know, not only about being a learner and a leader, but being the best human being I can be. And then I moved up to every grade level, all the way to graduate school, and I taught teachers and administrators working on their master's and doctorate degree. And my background actually is neuroscience and linguistics. And so that's a part of what allows us to, what has allowed me to make an impact is I understand it not from just the ideologic perspective, but from the sense of biology. So everything that I do is based on science, and I have to prove through science because we have such precious time with each other. I want to make sure that what we do makes an impact. But that's the short of it. I change lives and I change the world because I am an educator.
I love it. And I think that was one of the things that I really loved about your keynote and just the work you do in general is the fact that it's super exciting, it's super inspirational, like it really pumps you up, but it's also backed up. Like
Yes.
you can get a lot of pump up and sometimes that's good and that's needed, whatever, but like from a lot of different sources, but it's great when you find it where I can get pumped up, excited and inspired, but also I know it's rooted in science.
Right.
It's rooted there. And so
That's
I really
right.
enjoyed that. So I love it. I think, I'm really excited about this question. It's something we talk about failure a lot on this podcast. And I think we say this, that we've had some other guests that we talk about this with too, but I think, you're really the epitome of this in a lot of ways where people can look at the career you've had and the clients you've worked with and the shows you've been on. You've been, been featured in Forbes, you write for Huff and Post, you've been TEDx, on ABC News, USA Today. All these different things, right? A lot of really cool successes that it's easy, I think, for someone to look at that and say, I could never do that. She's probably never she just nails it. She just knows what she's doing. She's just rock and rolling her entire time. I'm pretty sure, I'm not assuming incorrectly, that it's probably never been smooth sailing the entire time for you.
You knew I'm a hot mess. I am absolutely a hot mess all the time. And I used to hide that, but I don't hide it anymore. And one of the reasons is I not only fail nearly every day, but I intentionally insert myself into circumstances that push me outside of my comfort zone. And no one loves to be outside their comfort zone. We like to be successful. And it sucks when you fail, but it is what allows us to grow and to gain and to make a bigger impact. And understanding our relationship with fear and our relationship with failure early is really, really, really important, not just for us, but for our kids.
I love that. So can you share with us a time that you've had a failure in your career and kind of take us there with you? Tell us what happened. How did you feel with that? And then what did you do to overcome it? And what did you take away from that experience? Like, we want to get into story time here with Angela.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when you're trying to do big things, because I do not believe in playing small, and that means how we talk to ourselves, how we view ourselves. When I say we change lives and change the world, I'm not just saying that as a cute thing. I want us to live up and into that embodiment. And when you're doing that, if you wake up every morning and you think, what am I going to do today to make an impact in the world, to use everything that I am, there is absolutely no way you could avoid failing. So I just got off a meeting with a company, an ed tech company, just a while ago, or just like 5 minutes before I talked to you. And I wanted to hold back. And I used to wait for them to define the conversation as if I'm this lucky person and this company wants to have a part, not from a place of arrogance, but they're lucky to be in the conversation with me. And so fearlessly, I laid out what my not only vision was, but my expectation, with the full knowledge that they could absolutely walk away and not fulfill, but I'm not going to settle for less. And settling for more means you have to take more risk and you have to put yourself out there and you have to be more vulnerable. And with that, it's a really uneasy feeling. Everything that you experience in your comfort zone, safety and confidence and comfort and just like a big warm fuzzy blanket around you. It's the opposite of that. And intentionally putting yourselves in situations to feel uncomfortable at the very minimum and terrified most often is a practice that we have to get good at engaging, because nothing's going to happen inside your comfort zone. You're going to be exactly where you were. And I think when I think about failure, the biggest failure in one's life is regret. And I'd rather take a chance and miss than wish I had taken a chance and regret that.
Hey Ray.
Yeah, she won.
Hey, Ray.
We're taking all time limits off this episode. We're just gonna go
I know.
here. I'm just letting you know right now. Like, she's speaking so my language right now. I'm just loving it. So anyway, Angela, I love that. So I want to flip it on you now. So
Yeah.
let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about because recognizing failure, talking about failure is really great. It's amazing, and I love the way you summarize it. But celebrating success, I believe, is also really important. So can you take us to a time that you've had a success? It can be big, it can be small, but take us there with you. Why was it a successful moment for you? And then what did you take away from that?
So I think the first, on the flip side, what helped me deeply confirm my relationship with failure was, oh gosh, I don't know how many years ago, probably 5 years ago. Seth Godin, who I'm like was a crazed fangirl, but he deeply influenced my practice, probably more than anybody else in the world. And he was doing something really disruptive to show what Margaret Mead said, 4 decades ago, that a small group of passionate people can change the world. And, you say that in your mind, but you're like, yeah, that's pretty cliche. Really, can somebody really change the world at that level? I'm like, well, if anybody's going to do it, it would be Seth Godin. So he had an all call for a thing that he called the Domino team. And it was to disrupt the entire industry of publishing and make credible the idea that we are all authors and we all have stories, and we don't need to have, a publicist and, a broker and a publishing company and all that, that we should be able to eliminate the middleman. And you had to do a video. You had to pick yourself. Like, that was his big thing. You had to pick yourself. You had to show what you stood for. You had to articulate your genius and do it in a minute and say why you deserve to be in the Domino team. So I'm like, I wasn't expecting to be selected, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to be uncomfortable as hell because I was, I like quaked in front of him because I was so in awe of him. And I got on. And I got to work with Seth for a year. And we did disrupt the publishing industry. And to be a part of this process set in motion the success I've had with Choose to Matter by allowing kids to understand not only is it possible for a small group of people to change the world if they're brave, it is expected, because that's what's expected of our new generation of citizens, because the world doesn't need people that wait for other people to give them permission. The world needs you to be comfortable with your genius and be clear about what you stand for and go forth bravely. And I really believe my greatest success is living that, is embodying that. And I wouldn't have done that probably as quickly and as loudly as I do now if I hadn't been a part of the Domino team and the Domino project.
That is just, I think, so amazing. I'm just shocked by everything you've been able to do and your grit and dedication to make it happen. I wish that every educator had that confidence. I think that the drive exists there for all educators, but
So my favorite I'm really glad you said that, Ray, because I am not special. I am determined and I am clear about what my purpose is. And I think we have clouded, everybody faces our greatest enemy is our own resistance, our own doubt, our own struggle with significance. And if we can tackle that, we can tackle anything. And the great reminder, like my favorite definition of the word genius, is the ability to keep the spirit and soul of childhood all the way through adulthood. That's a definition from 1602. And if you think about that, I spent last week, I was able to go all through all the grade levels, and I started with 37 4-year-olds talking about what we're talking about right now, our relationship with failure. Can you be scared and brave at the same time? That was our topic. And watching them be fearless. And it wasn't just one of them or two of them. And remembering that that is our genius, to keep that spirit and soul of childhood all the way through not only adulthood, but at least through second grade and third grade and fourth grade. And we go up through the world and we start doubting ourselves and we start holding back and hesitating and playing small. And we don't serve anybody doing that. And we certainly cannot serve our kids if we doubt our own contributions. So it is urgent that educators aren't just inspired by this, they're activated by this, because it exists within every educator I've ever met. This exists.
Couldn't agree more. I think that's amazing. You know, our next question we typically ask has to do with excitement, but I don't even know how in the world you're going to answer it, to be honest, because you seem to be so passionate and so driven by so many elements of education. But if you had to pick what was really like fueling your fire, like what's truly keeping you excited right now about education, everything you're doing, what would your answer be?
It has been the same for 32 years, kids, because like just being around them, just this past week, I did every grade level starting at 4 years old, preschool. And the greatest excitement, the greatest joy for me as a teacher, but for the world, for our profession, is that kids are finally being recognized for their world-changing potential. In fact, Greta, I forgot what her last name is, the little 13-year-old, she's in Denver right now to a packed house. And people were all calling in on the radio like, I'm not going to listen to a 13-year-old. I'm like, you better listen to a 13-year-old, mister. I didn't get through to the radio station, but I called it. And I'm like, they have always had this potential. But the fact that the world and their teachers and their parents are starting to see that they aren't leaders in the making. They're not future innovators or future leaders or future world changers. They are that right now. And what they're asking for, what they're deserving of, is to be recognized and noticed and nurtured for who they are right now, period. And I may be going over time, but I've just got to tell you this one small story. Little 4-year-old lesson that I did, this relationship. So the big idea question was, can you be scared and brave at the same time? So at the end of the lesson, we're all having this great time. There were 13 special education 4-year-old preschoolers in there. And they had their aides in there, their education assistants in there. And throughout the lesson, they were being given like almost like Monopoly money. Like if I assume it's some behavior program, if they're like integrated and they're doing great. And so after the lesson's over and they all, go to recess, these 13 kids were collected by their teacher and they've got this. I said, well, tell me about what's in your hand. And it was called Sunny Money. And it is part of their behavior program. But here's the beautiful thing. So they all have these little backpack things. And they've been collecting Sunny Money for 4 weeks, which in the lifespan of a 4-year-old, that's like a mortgage. That's like 30 years. So they're collecting all their money and they go to this room and they invite me to go with them. So I go with them and they're pretty excited. They get to the room and it's filled with it's a store and they get to use their money for the store. And there's toys in there and coloring books and all kinds of things. Then there's another section of this store because it's a really impoverished area that has toiletries and shoes and clothes, like a Goodwill kind of thing. Every single kid is going to make me cry. Damn it, you guys. Every single kid bought something with their Sunny Money for a family member. And the way they lit up, bought a pair of shoes and then one kid wanted to buy these shoes for his brother whose shoes didn't have the soles in them anymore. And the other kids pooled their Sunny Money and gave it to him. And there is nothing more, I can hardly speak just thinking about that. There is nothing more hopeful, more joyous, more compassionate to be around than young people exerting their potential to make an impact, to change lives in the world. And we get to be in their presence every day.
Angela, I ask that question to every single person that we have on the podcast. We're like 100 and however many episodes in. But I have to tell you, there has been one other memorable moment with LaVonna Roth that answered that question where my mouth just stayed open, just so inspired. This was one of my favorite answers. This was such a, I love that.
I went home, wanted to raid my closet, give everything I owned to the Sunny Money room because they could have bought any toy in there. Like Target donates all these things. So they had toys and books and all this stuff. And their first thought is, my family needs this. My mama needs this. My brother needs this. And they understand what grown-ups have forgotten, that they matter and that there is someone in the world that needs exactly what they have. And if we could just remember that, that's everything. It's everything. And trust me, it's not about these rosy colored glasses. There are days that were hard. Today actually was a super hard day for me. Stupid stuff happened in my life. But at the end of the day, it is not going to stop me from getting up tomorrow morning or getting up because I know I'm needed in some way, even if it's by just one other person who might hear this message, it might trigger something. That is worth it. That's what changing the world is about, bringing your full self to the world.
Absolutely. And your focus on not just this one story, but this one story being an example of this huge movement where we're starting to recognize the power within our youth is so valuable right now. And Jeff, I'm sure you know the quote that we were talking about with LaVonna Roth, where I asked her this question. She's like, I love how frustrated people are. She's like, when people are frustrated, they enact change. And your answer is so on the money with that as well. I am passionate about our children, our students taking back their voice. And that I think is so outstanding. I thank you for answering that. I don't even know how we move forward from that.
I could have brought every human being in the world could have been in that line with me, following the lead of these little miniature human beings that are bigger and more impactful than they will ever know. And my dream for them is that they do not lose that they do not lose that compassion and that ability to be empathetic. And these are kids that would be considered in pretty severe circumstances. And I guess when I started my career, I started with what would be considered at-risk neighborhoods. And the biggest mistake I made was viewing people from the lens of needy. People are motivated and they are activated when we show them they are needed. No one will rally if they are seen as needy and need to be given something. And these kids were the furthest thing from needy. The world needs them. So
it's awesome. I think that you just continue to share your expertise, whether you're in a school district, on a podcast, where Jeff and I met you using a keynote. I mean, I just think you have so much to share. I don't know how in the world you're going to tell us one piece of advice because I've just not. You've given us so much already. But if you had to identify one piece of advice, either a new teacher or a veteran teacher, anybody in education needed to take away from your stories, from your mission, what would be that one piece of advice you'd want them to hear?
This is actually fairly easy. It is very simple. You are enough, period. That is it. If you embrace that, because I will say that the biggest struggle I've had in my life, in my career, is my battle with perfectionism and wanting all of my work to be at a standard that I would be proud of. But to make an impact, you don't have to be perfect. You need to be present with people, and you need to be honest with people and real with them. They will be completely okay if you aren't your perfect self, because no one is perfect. And I wasted so much time and energy and stress from trying to be perfect, the perfect teacher, the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect friend. And you're in a constant state of seeing and believing that you failed because you were attempting something that was impossible. When you recognize that you are enough, not when you do this or if you do this or uh, for XYZ, then you're enough. No, period. You are enough right now. And what your kids need, what your colleagues need, what your family, what the world needs is for you to show up fully believing that what you're bringing to the world is enough. And it's a hard thing. It's a daily battle. Worthiness is a daily practice and discipline. And struggling with enoughness is something that is an ongoing battle. It's not like, oh, yep, I won against you today. Because every day there's something or someone that reminds you about how imperfect you are. And it's hard not to be impacted by that. But at the end of the day, all you have to give is your full self. And that's really what mattering is all about, the ability for you to bring your full self to the world with confidence and conviction and compassion.
Oh, I love that. I actually made a bet with myself that that's what you were going to pick as your piece of advice because that was one, that was what we saw you speak on in June.
Yeah.
And I love that because it really is a daily struggle. It is really difficult. Ray and I actually talked about this a little bit this weekend. It's tough. I've told the story, but like a big point in my life was, I won't tell the story, but it was getting to the point where I realized that I was enough without the success I thought I needed. And I think
Right.
there's so much of that. And by realizing that, you're able to be better for the things you haven't even done yet, the things you didn't even know you were supposed to be ready for.
That's exactly right.
So I love that.
Exactly right.
I'm also really glad that we're in this mindset of not having to be perfect right now.
Yes.
Because I'm about to,
Did I go over time?
No, because I'm about to throw 6 questions at you, and you're gonna try and hit 15 seconds or less on
Okay.
each question.
Bring it on.
So here we go. What
Okay.
is one ed tech tool you cannot live without?
It's not really an ed tech tool. It's a tool. Zoom video, 1000%. Like, it feels weird. Like, I want to jump through. I keep leaning toward my screen talking to you because I think seeing people allows you, like they always say, your eyes are the window to your soul. And there's not a lot that can be misread when you have eye contact with people. And video allows us to do this. It allows us to break down barriers and see each other as human beings at the soul level and not just, the level of your brain. So I think we can do a whole lot more with video, and my life and world would be different. As much as I hate being on video, my perfect part of myself, it is, when it's missing, you feel it. So Zoom, by far the best video platform.
See, I was glad that we were in the not having to be perfect zone, because that was totally not 15 seconds or less. But so okay and worth it, because I love your reasoning behind that. All right, so give us a book you're reading right now.
So actually, I'm rereading because I do that a lot. So I'm rereading Seth Godin's Linchpin.
Oh, good book.
It was so phenomenal the first time, but it's even better the second time because you come to the book different. So Linchpin.
Who do we need to follow on Twitter or Instagram today?
Someone different. Somebody outside of your field. As much as I want us to support each other, find somebody that is in a completely different field, an artist, a scientist, a business person, somebody that can bring a different perspective to your life.
Who are those people for you?
I have so many. My network actually is, like, my day-to-day work is with teachers, but my network is made up from, oh my gosh, every kind of discipline that you can think of. So, like, people that influence me, like Seth Godin, who's a marketer, Gary Vee, like, be careful if you listen to him. He swears a lot, but brilliant. I have a scientist that I've been following his work for some time. He's the head neuroscientist for the Dalai Lama's Center for Compassion. So they're just people that are constantly in my feed that are completely different. I like a lot of HR people, a lot of customer experience, a lot of entrepreneurs. moms, dads, food bloggers, human beings are fascinating, and we should, that's the best exciting thing about technology is we have access to humanity, and we can bring any of them in the room with us.
Love it. All right. So give us a good YouTube channel or website for educators.
So I would say not for educators, but I say, I always love these, there's a purpose channel on YouTube. There's a mindfulness channel. There's just a cooking channel, something that is totally different, that lights a different part of your brain and soul. Because if we get consumed with our passion and teaching, then we don't come our full selves, because we're more than our job. So try to stretch that. But I have a million YouTube channels and all that. But I also watch Dateline. I'm a little obsessed with Dateline.
All right. So give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine that every teacher should get into.
Daily affirmation. So just this repeating the statement, I matter, I am enough. Write it down. There's the cutest video going around right now of a little 3-year-old boy walking to school. It's precious. And he's doing basically the Mattering Manifesto. He's like, I am good. I am smart. It is absolutely precious, but some form of a reminder of your worthiness. Even if everything during the day goes wrong, you matter and you are enough.
And give us the best piece of advice you've ever received.
Oh my gosh. Stand for something. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter where it came from, how it came, but be that, not just be you, but be you fully embodied. We all have something that matters to us. And I think the challenge is try to answer that question. What matters to you and why? And then stand for that. Do something for that.
I think that she wins the trophy and maybe a second trophy.
You guys win the trophy. I'm so smiling. I wish you could see my face. Even if I'm having a bad hair day, it's worth it, because I'm bursting inside, because this gives me hope. Gives me hope that we're having these conversations. It is what you guys are doing is extraordinary. I'm so proud of you, and I feel so honored that you asked me to be on your show. And what you're doing for teachers, it's everything. It's our lifeline. It's our hope line. So thank you guys.
Well, Angela, while I will be shipping you the Teach Better Talk trophy, because I think that you have just shared far too much goodness this recording. I don't know even how we wouldn't be able to award that to you. Jeff, do you agree? I give it out too much?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put my stamp on this one though.
Okay, good.
You're good, Ray.
Okay, yay! Can I give it to kids?
Yeah.
Can I bring it?
Ray, we need to send her a couple thousand so she can give them out to kids.
There we go. But I also want our listeners to be able to connect with you as well. Maybe they'll steal a good trophy from you as well. But I want to make sure that they connect with you on Twitter and are able to visit you on Facebook and read your books and everything in between. So would you mind kind of sharing how they can connect it with you?
Yes. So you can do two things. You can just Google Angela Maiers, and I'm Angela Maiers everywhere. So on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, all of the platforms, and it's Maiers. And if for some reason you forget how to spell it or forget my last name or whatever, just type in You Matter and you'll get to all my stuff too. So any platform except Instagram, I've been really I'm not perfect, but I just, I know I need to get on Instagram, but I just, don't know if I want to add something else. So if anybody wants to make the case that I can get on Instagram, I can be pushed into that.
Angela, I'm learning about Instagram. Let's talk. We got to figure it out together.
Yeah, let's talk, because I want it to be impactful. I don't want to just put silly stuff up there. I want to make an impact with it, and I just haven't figured out how to do that yet. So I need to get uncomfortable and just get on it.
I think Angela, that you don't have to worry about it being impactful, because I think you are naturally going to make it that way. So I'm not saying that to I'm actually being tactical with you here. I really don't think you have to worry about it, because I think you're naturally going to do that. Okay. Because it's where you naturally go with everything that you talk about stuff, because of how you think what you're trying to do. So I think that's going to just organically happen. I think you could really do a lot of stuff on Instagram, just doing videos and just just spilling out your thoughts and things you're thinking of based on conversations you've had with people and stuff.
Aw.
So,
Yeah,
so
I'm getting
I'm gonna ship. We're gonna ship that trophy. I'm gonna stuff Ray in a box with the trophy. Ship her over, and you
Yes,
guys. She'll give you the
please,
1-on-1, and then you
please,
can rock and roll.
yes.
So,
Yeah.
you can find all the links and everything we talked about with Angela over at the show notes at teachbetter.com. We'll make sure to include all the ways to link with her so you have that, get to a website, everything like that. So make sure you head over to teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, we'd really, really appreciate that as well. Angela, this has been phenomenal. So happy that we got you on and that we've had some fun. This was a blast.
Oh my God. I want to give all the community, I just finished a course around genius, taking some of these ideas and lessons, and I want to give you the link and give it to all your listeners and community free. I just want teachers to take it and then share their genius on how to make it better. And so remind me to do that. And yeah, and like, it's just all the things that I've talked about, like, how do we have these conversations with kids too? As great as it is talking to each other, we need to be talking to 4-year-olds and 8-year-olds and 12-year-olds about all these things that we talked about today. So thank you.
Yes, we will make sure that's awesome. That's super amazing of you. We will make sure that's in the show notes as well, so you guys can run over there and get that awesomeness as well. So thank you so much, Angela. We appreciate it.
Yes. Bye, you guys. You matter.
Until next time, you do matter. Let's get out there. Let's teach better.